Well, I'm a war photographer. I've seen a lot of wars in the region. And when the blast happened, I couldn't understand. It was very difficult to process that. Because usually in the war situation, you have a battle, and you have a street, and you have a car bomb. So all that is very limited geographically in a city or in a field. What happened was bigger than all the war I saw. Like, it was, like I said, different, and it was science fiction in a way. Like, this is real or you're in a movie.
As a bomb, it's like the third biggest bomb in the world that happened in recent human history after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Having lived through the war, we always live with the fear that something might happen. We had airplanes bombing us when I was younger, the first Israeli war in 1982. We had street wars of the Civil War, we witnessed it. We had car bombs, and for me, the most scary thing ever was the car bombs, because you don't know, you can be anywhere and then a car bomb would explode and you could die. This bomb we witnessed, the last one, was like 1,000 car bombs at the same time.
We've been joking about that area of the port for about 15 years now. But who would have known that there'll be almost a nuclear bomb there?
So it's not like one single neighborhood, it was every single neighborhood of Beirut, every house, every building. It was really something I have never witnessed before.
The blast not only shook people very, very severely in their hearts and their souls and completely destroyed their lives, but it also impoverished everyone, very simply because an entire capital is now crippled.
When you've been living here for this long and you've seen and know what's happening, you don't ask tactical questions anymore. You know that anything could happen. You could die, you could get exploded into pieces. That explosion could happen any minute, any time, because you're not in control. So we go to our homes knowing that outside our door, we don't know who controls it.
In the context where we are living, we are an Arab country, we are in the Middle East. It's a country that has been in many wars, so many civil wars and regional wars here, and a lot of political assassination, and still that the political system here is always trying to crush freedom of press, trying to crush people who are going into the street to protest.
We are living in a very hot zone, or in a very critical zone, which is Lebanon today. every 4, 5, 6 years, we have something that happens. In 2006, we were attacked by planes, by bombs. 2012, all Arab countries, there was the spring, the Arab Spring and everything. Also, we got affected. We're a touristic country. Then in 2018, we got the capital control. We got people in the streets having their riots in streets and everything.
This in Mar Mikhail is the heart of the city. This is the Soho of Beirut, where you have artists meeting clubbers, pubbers. So this, especially this part of our town, was vibrant with life.
This is Mar Mikhail. Before the blast, it was the heart of Beirut. People from everywhere in Lebanon used to come enjoy their time in bars, in restaurants, to shop in the area. And a lot of people also were living in this area. So it's a mix between people living here and people working here.
We had an amazing view, especially from our room there. You could see, while laying down in bed, you could see the sea. The salon was really, really nice.
It was a very lively neighborhood. It's like a small community where people enjoyed their time. People living here loved living here. It's a long strip that starts from Mar Mikhail and ends in downtown Beirut. And it was like, this was the main artery of Beirut.
Je vis dans un quartier qui est, pour ma chance, très agréable et qui a beaucoup de verdure autour de moi. Et surtout, j'ai le palais sur Cochrane en face de moi. Mais en fait, ma maison est située très, très, très près du port de Beyrouth.
The house has been through a lot. It's been through world wars. It has been through the Civil War, which caused damage, but nothing as much as we see today. And there we have to mention my mother, who was extremely courageous, and she's the one who remains in Lebanon throughout the Civil War. And she looked after the palace with great courage.
The place was always jam-packed with people. We had people coming over, pre-drinking, post-drinking. This is before the baby, obviously, but I'm talking to you about the life that we had before this explosion.
Parties every now and then here.
So,
open house.
Is this my dream house? The one that I built, the one that I bought, that I decorated, that I've been receiving people and having people over for
our
the past
lifetime savings were on this house.
7 years or so. We've been literally living on an atomic bomb.
ب4 آب نحن وصلنا اتصال من غرفة عمليات القوى الأمنية بتقلنا إنه في حادث حريق موجود على المرفأ، وبذات اللحظة وصلنا اتصالات من كذا مواطن كان مارق على الطريق لحتى يبلغوا عن إنه كان في دخنة كتير قوية. على الفور الفرقة السابعة يلي كانت هي على الخدمة تلقت الخبر.
On this day, Alexandra woke up super excited because she had a friend coming over to play. So the friend arrived at around 11:30, 12. They played, they had lunch. They watched TV, we baked a cake, they ate some popcorn while watching, you know, Peppa Pig and all the stuff. And they were super happy, and around 6, the friend left.
Ma sœur qui est ma voisine, qui habite de l'autre côté du palais, m'a téléphoné. Elle m'a dit ah, j'en ai marre, je ne peux plus supporter ce stress dans ce pays. En fait, ça faisait 1 an et demi qu'elle n'avait pas quitté le pays, mais en fait, elle habite la France, elle, normalement. Alors je lui ai dit, mais écoute, mais qu'est-ce que tu fais encore ici? Tes enfants sont à l'étranger, va-t'en. Tu m'embêtes, va-t'en.
I was in my store, but at the moment, 10 minutes before the blast, I went to the market next door to buy some groceries because I was going to the mountain. And you could have feel it. We felt that something is going to happen. The sounds of airplanes, it was very tense. We felt that something was going to happen.
I was in my room with my baby playing on the bed. And then we heard a very big noise. I got very scared. I started screaming to my husband. I told him there's something wrong. I looked at the port and we saw a fire. So my husband came to me and he said, this must be a fireworks container. Don't worry, the firefighters will handle this.
Because we were hearing the firework noises. So at first I thought it was gunshots. Since you live in Beirut, you get used to it in Beirut.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
So then I looked at the port and I saw, smoke and heavy, thick smoke, but I wasn't panicked.
I was panicked.
So my wife, she came in full panic mode. We have to leave, we have to leave. I'm like, come on, it's just a fire, it's across the highway. Really don't have to leave. I mean,
we actually fought. He was like, why do you want to leave? This is nothing.
Yeah, we had an
There's
argument.
nothing to worry about.
We're gonna leave. This is for like a good 5 minutes.
He got here at 6 sharp. And we just, barely had the time to make it outside to the balcony. And that's when it happened.
Et je suis descendue vers le port pour voir la mer, parce que ça me détend toujours de voir la mer. Et je vois une immense fumée du côté du port. Je dis, tiens, c'est quoi ça? Rentrons chez nous, rentre à la maison, ma petite.
ما سمعت، أنا هي اللي حكيتني. أنا هي وقت ظهرت من فوج الإطفاء، هي عادة ما بتحكيني، بتبعت لي فويس صوت السيران. انه هي طلعت مهمة. هالمرة الوحيدة اللي سحر بدق لي فيديو كول، بدق لي وبتقول لي باي. كانت قاعدة بالنص بالأمبولانس، بتقول لي باي. قلت لها شو بكي؟ عملت لي هيك بإيدها، هي ما حكيت، عملت لي هيك بإيدها، أنا برجع بحكيك.
من غرفة عمليات الفوج وحولوها دغري لحتى تنطلق أول فرقة عاملة على الأرض ليشوفوا شو في هونيك وليبلشوا يعالجوا الموضوع. بوصولهم لهونيك كان الحادث كتير كبير، شافوا إنه دخنة قوية والنار كتير قوية، طلبوا الدعم لحتى رفقاتهم ينزلوا يساعدون. بهذا الوقت اللي صار فيه طلب الدعم كانوا هن عم بيعملوا مد المعدات، وضع المعدات المناسبة بالمكان المناسب ليقدروا يبلشوا عملية الإطفاء وفتح الباب وطلع الانفجار.
And then the neighbor
Our neighbor, she came to me, my neighbor, because she doesn't have the view of the port from her apartment. So she came to me, she was smiling, she was at peace. She really, really looked, I don't say that often, but she looked like an angel. She came to me and she was like, why are you so scared? Everything is gonna be okay, just calm down, relax, it's gonna be okay. I started screaming, I was like, no, I want to leave right away, I want to leave right away. Meanwhile, the nanny of my baby was in the shower. I started screaming, Lean, get out of the shower. She's like, I cannot get out, I have soap all over me. I'm like, I don't care, get out right away. So she got out and we left.
So we left literally 5 minutes before the explosion.
I think we saw the first blast. I can't remember, everything is sort of jumbled in terms of sight and sound. I don't know which one came first, but we literally saw the first explosion in our axis. And I saw the smoke moving very fast towards us. And I knew it was ushering something, more, something worse.
Actually, when the friend of Alexandra and his mom left, Paul and a friend of ours were sitting in the dining room working. So I went over to check on them, and Alexandra sat by the couch in our main living room. And Paul got a phone call, so he was talking on the phone. We heard the first blast. So we ran to the window. We have actually a kind of curtain glass with a view on the silos and the port. So we ran to the window and we saw the
smoke.
The smoke.
ودقيت لها انا فيديو كول 6 و7 دقائق بس سحر ما كانت عم تطلع فيي، عم تطلع بالسما وماسكه التليفون بايدها هيك. احكيها ما تدري اخر شي صرخت انه سحر ردي علي، هي طلعت بالتليفون قلت لها اذا في شي ركضي ركضت يعني شفت البايات تبعولها اجرها كانت عم بتدق براسها كتر ما عم تركض بسرعه منها خايفه. بس 6-7 ثواني او 8 ثواني بالضبط وطلع الانفجار.
1 minute after the first blast, when we went to the window to see the smoke, to check out the smoke, I heard planes, or I thought I heard planes. I hope we'll know one day. And so I told Paul and the friend that was with us to run inside and to get far from the windows, actually. And so I ran towards Alexandra, and I was right, I tried to grab her, and the blast, the bomb exploded.
Je rentre chez moi à la maison et chemin faisant, j'arrive, c'était 6 heures, moins quelque chose. J'arrive à la hauteur de la maison du palais de Linda-sur-Soc, et puis j'entends des avions. Je me dis, tiens, c'est bizarre, j'ouvre la fenêtre de ma voiture, et j'entends un bruit épouvantable, et ma voiture s'est mise à aller dans tous les sens. Bon. Et puis subitement, ça s'est arrêté. Ça s'est arrêté et tous mes airbags se sont déclenchés. Ma voiture donc s'est immobilisée. Je dis bon, c'est un premier coup, je suis habitué à cause de la guerre, il y aura un second coup. Donc tu vas crever dans une seconde, quoi.
I was in that room talking to about 12 people. And then I had a conference call with a friend of mine in the US. So my colleague came out of the door saying, come on, we have a call. I left that room, crossed this aisle to my room there, sat across the window that overlooks the port. And my colleague and I were talking to my friend in the US, and then saw the first explosion. Oops, there is a big explosion here at the port. My friend couldn't believe it out there. And then I saw the crackles before the second big explosion. I even saw the yellow wave coming.
I was in a meeting, in a one-to-one meeting with the the daughter of Jabran, Naila Twaini. She is the CEO, the new CEO of the Al-Nahar group, facing the port. And we could have been killed. I'm sure we could have been killed because the first blast, there was two blasts, one small and the big one. The small one was pushed us to get out of the room and to go and to hide elsewhere. And then the big one, we saw the whole office crumbling on our heads.
We were working here in a regular day, on 4th of August. At 6:05, we went outside the bar. We saw something went on fire in part of Beirut. We were filming. We didn't think that it would be something dangerous. You know, there is no war in Beirut. Nothing. You cannot assume that something will happen to you if you're filming a fire from far away, a bit far away.
I opened my windows and I saw the first explosion, the first black smoke. It was kind of like a gray smoke. And I had my friend over at home and I told him, okay, let's leave. I wanted to leave the house because I felt there was an attack. So there's more that's gonna happen. So I told him, let's leave, let's leave. He's like, no, ça va, it's okay, we're used to it, we're Lebanese. I'm like, let's leave. So we moved from that room. As I'm walking into the center of the house and I'm looking for my shoes, something to put on. And then the big explosion happened. It really ripped and cut through the house.
Very, very quickly after that second explosion, there was this wall of smoke coming my way with such speed that even though I was planning to get in, it was just impossible for me to make it on time. So I remember kind of, you know, I must have said something like, oh shit, you know, it's like turning around and starting to move towards the door to get in. But then I was like, just propelled.
It was a warm summer evening, and people tell me, but why were you Swiss still in the office? You know, at 6:10. I say, well, that's Switzerland. We were 7 Swiss colleagues and then 1 local colleague still here. And I heard the first boom.
That day I was in Beirut. I was at the hairdresser and I was washing my hair, and all of a sudden I heard a huge blast. And as I told you before, I have lived through the war in Lebanon, and this was a different sound. So my first reaction was to jump and try to hide.
I immediately thought that's a bomb. And somehow I do remember it was the week where the judgment of the Hariri tribunal, you know, was due. So I somehow thought, oh, a bomb. And then I do not remember much. But I remember to wake up on the other side of my office with no shoes.
I didn't have time to reach a place where I could be safe, that the second blast exploded, and that was when all of the glass fell on us like, I don't know, like bullets of glass.
All these glasses, you know, exploding, and by the moment I was out, my colleague that is just behind, she said, Monica, they bombed your office. I said, no, they didn't bomb my office. That was much bigger than this. And then imagine there's no more wall, no more door. I mean, the ceilings came down. It was quite a war zone.
Of course, not many people have gone through wars and bombs. To a person who's lived through that, it was evident that this is way, way, way out of the ordinary. This is something that doesn't happen every day, even in the worst of areas of war.
it was an atomic bomb without the chemical effect. Really, it was an atomic. Everything was blown away.
I've covered Iran, Iraq, Syria, Jordan. I covered a lot of big conflict in the region. But this particular blast was unseen. Like when it happened, I was in the office 10 minutes before, and the port is just across the street. So I arrived to my house in Beirut, and even my house was destroyed. And I thought, what was that? So what was that was not understandable, because it's not an earthquake, and I never saw a bomb like that.
I was sitting here with the babies. I did my rounds, I finished my rounds, and then I was talking to my mother on the phone just to tell her that my day was doing very well, and the blast happened.
I felt about 3-4 meters away from the place. I heard the glass crashing next to me. When I stand up, I was all full of blood from my head. I was bleeding from my head, from my hands.
The 4th of August, when the blast of Beirut, you can see it right there. This is the port of Beirut. The distance between the hospital and Beirut port is 850 meters directly. So we had a direct hit from the blast. And it was the first time in the history of the hospital where we had to evacuate and stop working. We had to evacuate the 332 patients that were inside the hospital. We had injured and death between our staff, our patients. And to add to it, in that day, we are the nearest hospital to the blast center. So people, who has been injured, they were coming to us. So we had to deal with our own casualties and with the casualties who were walking into our institution. We lost 4 nurses, so we had our medical team caring for their own casualties, which is something that's not easy to be done.
My mother was here. She was actually exactly where she was projected to exactly where I was seated. She was standing on the balcony here, and she was severely hurt. She unfortunately died 3 weeks later. My wife was upstairs, and she spent a week and a half in hospital also, in the emergency room. Every room here, as if a hurricane had blown into it, and everything is shredded to pieces, unfortunately, as you can well see now from what's behind me.
I couldn't grab her. She was propelled against the wall, and me too. But she was 3 years old, so the hit on her head was very bad.
Et j'ai commencé à marcher dans la rue en regardant hébété ce qu'il y avait autour de moi. Et je vois arriver dans le sens inverse une malheureuse mariée dans sa belle robe. Elle avait tenu sa jupe comme ça et elle courait comme une folle, toute seule, avec tous les débris autour d'elle et des trucs comme ça. Entre-temps, j'ai vu un oiseau mort sur le trottoir. Je dis, ah, le pauvre oiseau, il est mort de l'explosion. Alors que je savais que j'allais mourir dans un instant, j'ai vu l'oiseau, je l'ai photographié. Puis j'ai vu cette mariée, alors que je pensais que j'allais encore mourir, parce que la seconde explosion allait venir. Je l'ai photographiée.
I felt that something had hit my head. I had some blood falling all over my face. My legs were bleeding because I was wearing a skirt. It was a summer. And, but I thought at that moment that it might be Israeli warplanes bombing us because it was too strong and too loud. I have never heard something as loud. So I ran again to hide again, thinking that the third bomb was going to come. And then we realized that that was it. It was silence, and everything was broken around us.
I wasn't wearing any glasses because I usually don't, but so this wound on this side was like this. So it reached here and was pretty deep, and it got the eye. The eye was really all out, apparently, from what I understood, after they had to kind of sew it back in. There was another wound exactly parallel to this one, right here, less deep, but exactly parallel, and it stopped here.
When we walked out in the street, it was like a deja vu of, or nostalgic pictures that we see of the war in the 70s in Lebanon. It just hit again. This is happening again. Jesus, what happened? It was just gray, dust, alarms. People on the street. There was 2 people dead right in front of us. We carried them out and we put them on the sidewalk. So I walked out, tried to get to a shelter. I didn't have shoes on, so I walked and I kept on walking, but my feet were getting ripped.
Glass all over the streets, shattered glass all over the streets, people, injured people walking. We thought that it was a movie. It was like when you watch a movie. It's like a war zone during a movie, watching a movie. We couldn't believe that this was real.
I took my car and went with my camera to pick up my kids who were also in another street in Beirut, very devastated, completely devastated also. But while I went there, I saw all the disaster and all the people going like dead men walking, and all the glasses on the street, the open houses, the carpets even on the street, the furniture. So I couldn't understand what happened.
People were injured. They were taking off their shirts, cutting their shirts, tearing it into pieces just to wrap them, and people were asking, please wrap my hand, please wrap my head, please wrap my foot. So every 5 meters I used to stop on my bike, help people, and continue my drive just to be able to come here, check on my employees, check on my customers. The place was packed before I leave. I recall that the place was packed like half an hour before.
We lost a girl. We tried to save her. We took her to the hospital next to us, the one here in Jumaise, but it was so damaged they couldn't do anything for her. We couldn't find a car to take her to the hospital, so she died here in Jumaise next to the place.
يعني أنا أول ما نزلت على البور أنا 6:07 دقايق طلع الانفجار، 6:30 كنت على البور. ماني عارف وين ولا عارف شي، نزلت أول شي على فوج الأطفاء عم بسأل عن سحر. السير مسكر، فيلم زومبي كان، عالم على الطريق مشقفة، سيارات بعد العالم متوفية بقلبها، هيدا اللي عم بيدحبي على الأرض. وصلت على فوج الأطفاء قالوا لي ما تخاف سحر هون، حتى بفوج الأطفاء مش عارفين إنه سحر تحت.
I was carrying Lexou and Jean-Marc and Tracy were walking down the flight of stairs. It's a miracle that she managed to walk, because in her situation, I mean, the doctors that we've spoken to after, you know, with the 3 ribs and 3 vertebrae broken, a detached lung, I mean, it's seeing her with her face completely bulged out was, I mean, I don't know how she did it, but we managed to get together to walk probably like a kilometer until she told me, look, I can't walk anymore, go away and run.
دورت التي في وشفت انه منه حريق، صاير في انفجار هالقد ضخم، والاضرار كانت كتير كبيره، وكانت بلشت تبين وبلشت العالم تنزل وتصور شو هن الاضرار وهيك، بس انا ما كنت عارفه انه سحر نزلت لتحت لحتى تطفي، حتى بعد كم ساعه اللي عرفت انه هي كانت من التيم يلي نزلوا يطفوا تحت. كل الوقت I was trying to call her، احكيها، ما ترد علي، ما أقدر أوصلها، ما يوصلها حتى على واتساب وهيك. بس كنت كل الوقت عم فكر إنه هي تحت هلأ عم بتساعد العالم، وفي كتير إنه في كارثة حصلت بالنهاية تحت، هلأ بتخلص شغلها وبتجي على البيت. وبقينا ناطرين لتاني نهار الصبح، فاتحين باب البيت ناطرينها تجي لحد ما تلقينا الخبر.
We walk down one street down to the main street in Jamaica where we know there's a hospital. We get there and people are all bloody and you start to kind of take in that this is much bigger than what you thought it was initially. And so we ended up for about 3 hours just doing that. It was impossible to take a car because the streets were covered with rubble and glass, and so we had no choice but to walk. And we tried to walk from one hospital to the other. The hospitals by then were completely, saturated.
We decided to have a field hospital outside the emergency rooms from the other side of the building. So we installed a field hospital to treat our own injuries. Once we established the field hospital, we went to each floor to evacuate it, and at each level they took the decision on, with the best they can do.
My biggest fear was that he would lose consciousness because the wound I could see it was pretty deep and he was gushing with blood, like he lost a lot of blood. I mean, it's kind of a miracle that he was able to walk for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
I made sure my kids were okay, and I drove to my sister's house, which was not very far from where I was when the bomb exploded, but I was driving on glass. It was like a rug of glass, broken glass everywhere. And so the car was not moving correctly, but it was okay. I arrived there, and my son had arrived just before me. And when I got there, I saw they were bringing down the cleaning lady. My son had brought her in like a blanket. They were carrying her because there were no ambulances, no elevators, nothing, 8 floors down. And they put her in the first car that stopped, and my sister and her went to the hospital.
I was carrying Lixu, and we stopped. Her situation was deteriorating. I stopped. I couldn't walk anymore, so I stopped the first scooter, who told me that to excuse himself, but he had to actually go pick up other people that had called him. I stopped the second scooter that took us on. So we were on the scooter, Lixu and I, driving towards the hospital. Thankfully, it was not very far, and with the scooter, he managed to find his way through the rubble.
We walked up to a parallel street, and there was a traffic jam, actually, going towards where we wanted to go. And this guy on a moped, like a delivery guy probably, came up to us, and he says, "Hop in." And he drove us opposite, zigzagging amongst the debris, and he got us to that second hospital, which turned out also to be not available.
So I directly ran out and to see where the babies were, to see if they were affected by the blast or not. They were 5 babies. I was able to grab 3 of them, and the nurses that were with me were able to grab 2 of them and give them to the residents because they were severely injured. The babies were premature, so basically we had twins that were a month and a half old, but they were still premature, not at term. They were around a kilogram and a kilogram and a half, so they were very tiny. And the other girl, she only needed a stay of 24 hours at our unit, so it was during her stay that the blast happened.
So she had to carry them herself and walk for 4 kilometers with the doctor to deliver them to the next available hospital.
I went from this hospital to 2 other hospitals. I wasn't able to get admitted because these hospitals were also in ruins. So I had to walk around 5 kilometers to reach another hospital with the 3 babies and put the 3 babies in another hospital.
I was losing a lot of blood. I had stitches all over my leg, my head. And my arm, I couldn't feel it anymore. And so after seven hospitals, I got someone to wrap my arm. I took a bit of morphine, which felt really good. Put a smile on my face for at least 5 minutes. And then we drove to Tripoli and tried to get more attention, hospital, tried to get admitted into hospital. We couldn't, I had to wait it out until another, and it took me 48 hours to get admitted into AUB to do my surgery.
They went to the closest hospital, which was Rizq Hospital, and I followed them with my car, and I arrived there, and what I saw in the hospital was something unbelievable. You cannot forget the smell of the blood, the people on the floor, on the ground, laying on the ground, bleeding. The emergency room was like turned into, I don't know, it was chaos, and blood everywhere, and even dead people on the floor, wounds, horrible wounds, not small wounds. But at the same time, the staff of the hospital was very efficient. My son's friend was with me and he was bleeding, so one nurse came and she said, "We're gonna make you some stitches." It was like with a stapler, just first aid, emergency first aid.
The hospital that we reached, which is the St. George Hospital, was completely destroyed. The St. George Hospital team was fantastic with us. I mean, they were immediately on us. They didn't tell me at the time, but they saw that her situation was really bad, that the concussion was getting to an extreme state of damage. And Nadine, the doctor that was, she's an ER pediatrician, and we had the chance to have her head there, was telling me we need to get her to another hospital very quickly, but I don't know how I'm going to get an ambulance to go there. And I don't know how she managed, but we were able to take her to she was able to find us an ambulance to arrive, and we boarded her immediately on it.
Unfortunately, 3 days later, after the blast, she was very severely injured, and she passed away from the wounds she had on her head and body, and the doctors from the beginning, and when I saw her, I thought it would be impossible for her to live. So 3 days later, she passed away. They called us from the hospital. I went every day to check on her, and I tried to see if she had any reactions, but there was no reaction. She was in the coma, deep coma from the beginning. It was very sad and very hard for us because she really was a great woman. And we knew that her whole life was dedicated, and all these sacrifices she made by coming to Lebanon was to give a better life for her daughter.
At the time, they were not able to treat Alexandra because she was in such a state of spasm that they were not able to give her a relaxant to intubate her. She was having difficulties to breathe. She vomited blood twice in the ambulance and this is where we were heading to another hospital, but Nadine stopped the ambulance when we reached Hotel Dieu, which was on the way to our to our targeted hospital, telling me, "Look, she needs to go down right away."
Mes enfants sont arrivés affolés et m'ont dit il faut s'en aller. Je me dis, je ne veux pas m'en aller, moi. Mais où je veux m'en aller? Ma maison est ouverte à tous les vents. Et ils m'ont obligé. Puis je ne sais pas comment, à un moment donné, je reçois des coups de fil. On me dit est-ce que tu as des nouvelles de ta sœur? Ben, Lyon. Je dis non, mais elle doit être. Je ne suis pas arrivée à la contacter parce qu'on lui a volé son téléphone il y a 2 jours. La route, dans un embouteillage monstre, un désordre épouvantable. C'était à qui aller s'enfuir à droite, à gauche. Les voitures s'en mêlaient les unes sur les autres. C'était la panique, évidemment, totale dans Ashrafieh. Et finalement, on a pris la route de la montagne et arrivé à un moment donné, je regardais comme ça. On m'appelle, on me dit, tu sais, elle n'a pas survécu.
What's dramatic is that the hospitals were not accepting people anymore because they had been so flooded with people with wounded and death arriving. But I guess because she was a kid, we were able to push the cart, right through the ER, and I think she got there the best treatment she could have received. But the edema was so big, we had to. At the same night, her vitals started failing, so we had to do a cranial surgery, which consists of removing the upper part of the skull, so that it gives space for the edema to expand, which was kind of the last resort thing to do. And but she held on and she fought for two more days.
C'est comme si elle avait concentré sur elle toute la violence de cette explosion. Parmi les membres de ma famille, c'est elle qui avait tout eu. Nous, on n'a rien eu, quasiment rien eu. Et elle l'a eu, mais elle a eu dans sa maison, elle habite en face du port, juste en face. Et elle a été emportée littéralement par une porte. Ensuite, elle est tombée sur un meuble. Enfin, je ne veux pas raconter les détails, c'est trop éprouvant, mais bon. Maigre consolation, figurez-vous, elle est morte sur le coup. Vous vous rendez compte à quel point nous sommes arrivés, nous les Libanais, de dire quelle chance, elle est morte sur le coup. Elle ne s'est pas vue mourir, elle n'a pas souffert, mais c'est une aberration.
On the 4th of August, I was taken to LEU hospital, so risk hospital. The hospital is in Ashrafi as well. I had to stay there for 5 days, actually, 5 to 6 days. And so on the 5th, when I woke up, they told me that Alexandra was not doing very good. So I kind of not escaped the hospital, but did all I could to leave now. The doctors didn't want me to leave, but so I left finally. So I saw her on the 5th around 6:30 and stayed with her till the 7th of August when she passed away.
Few hours after the explosion took place, news started coming that it was because 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate were stored in the warehouse number 12 in Beirut port. And everybody was interested in knowing why this ammonium nitrate shipment was kept all this time in Beirut port.
سنة 2013 تيجي باخرة اسمها روسوس محملة 2750 طن نترات أمونيوم بتتفضى بمرفق بيروت سنة 2014. بهالوقت هيدا ما كان في تواجد لجهاز أمن الدولي على المرفق.
Mr. Hassan Raitim is the chairman of the Interim Commission for the Management and Exploitation of the Port of Beirut. Mr. Raitim became aware of the presence of the ammonium nitrate 9 months after the vessel carrying them entered the Port of Beirut. In fact, he was notified a court decision ordering the port authorities to offload the ammonium nitrate from the vessel and to store them in a safe place. Based on the recommendation of the chief of the piers, they were stored in Pier 12.
Anything from stupid non-taxed products, maybe iPhones, maybe toys, who knows? Anything from that to what you saw. All this, we always knew there was a portion of the port that the government nor people would dare even know or ask what's in there. Had no control over it. And if you had control over it, you can't say anything.
Certain letters were sent for judges here in Lebanon from people in the port, telling the judges, give us approval to remove the ammonium nitrate from the ship because the ship will sink at any time. It's not seaworthy. So they got an approval from the judge. The letter was written in a way to make him believe that there's a real danger if the ammonium nitrate stayed in ship. He believed what was written for him, and he approved the removal of the ammonium nitrate from the ship, and it was put in the warehouse number 12.
In 2015, Mr. Hassan Raitem issued a report about the content of Pier 12, and he submitted the report to the Minister of Public Health. The Minister of Public Health, in turn, submitted it to the Secretary of the Council of Ministers, and nothing happened.
اختار جهاز أمن الدولي اختاروا الرائد جوزيف نداف ليستلم مكتب أمن الدولي على المرفأ بال 2019 بمهمة هي مكافحة الفساد. بأحد الأيام بصوب تشارين بيجي أحد الأشخاص بيقول له للرائد نداف، بيقول له في نيترات أمونيوم بالعنبر رقم 12، يعني عم نحكي بحوالي آخر 2019. بيعمل تحقيق وبيبعت حدا يستعلم عن الموضوع، علما انه ما عنده عديد عسكر على المرفأ. الرائد نداف كان كل عسكريته هن عبارة عن 10 عسكرية بيناتهم واحد بس للاستعلام.
When he reported the information he has about the ammonium nitrate to the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, they immediately sent the report to the Ministry of Justice. The Ministry of Justice submitted the report to a commission of judges which serves as the legal department of the states. They were supposed to give instructions to their lawyers to file a request to the judge of urgent matters, either to remove the nitrate of ammonium or to ship them outside Lebanon. Unfortunately, this did not happen.
بيحقق بالموضوع وبيكتب أول تقرير بيبعته ب 6 ديسمبر 2019، يعني 8 أشهر قبل الانفجار. بهالتقرير بيقول فيه إنه بالعنبر رقم 12 في نيترات أمونيوم، هودي خطرين، إذا انسرقوا بينعمل منهم عبوات للتفجير، وإذا احترقوا بيولعوا بيدمروا مرفأ بيروت. عم نحكي 8 أشهر قبل ما يصير الحادث على مرفأ بيروت.
Mr. Raitem and all the others involved in the file are accused of the same charge, which is homicide with probable intent. And what do we mean with probable intent? It's that the person did not have the intention to cause the death of anyone, but he was aware that his action or inaction will probably lead to the loss of lives, and he accepted to take the risk and did not change his attitude or actions.
The only way such big and horrific stuff can be sitting in an official building belonging to the state is if the orders come from Iran or Syria. To a lesser extent Syria now, but these type of orders and big actions and weight can only happen with the approval of the big guys.
I started contacting the two factories that are involved in this shipment. That's what we knew in the beginning, with the factory in Mozambique and the factory in Georgia. When I talked to the factory in Mozambique, they told me that we have nothing to do with this shipment. We just ordered 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate from a company called Savaro. I knew that there is a company in Britain called Savaro. When I got the sales agreement with the address in London, and it's the same address as the one in company's house for Savaro, I knew that a shell company did the deal. The only company I found sharing the same address with Savaro and with real business activity was a company called Hesco Engineering and Construction. Hesco Engineering and Construction was owned by George Haswani at that time. And George Haswani is a Syrian businessman who got sanctioned in 2014 for trying to help the Syrian regime.
The investigative media were very clear about their findings. I mean, thank God we have them to conduct the investigation, because otherwise we would be nowhere whatsoever today. Everybody knows what had been happening at the same time in 2013. Put yourself back end of 2013, early 2014. What's happening regionally is a blazing war in our northern neighbor in Syria. They were using ammonium nitrate as explosives, putting them into barrels and using them as explosives. We know the relations between Syria and Lebanon. The origins of the ammonium nitrate were linked to the Syrian regime by investigative media. This is not our investigation. This is what has been shed to light.
You cannot underestimate that here in Lebanon, the fact that we have militias still working here on the terrain here in Lebanon, like Hezbollah, like Amal, like many small militias that are affiliated to the Syrian regime and to the Iranian regime.
The guy who was said to own the ship in the beginning and who signed the certain documents that the Lebanese authorities had was Igor Grishishkain, Teto Shipping. He has a company called Teto Shipping. Okay. Later on, we discovered that he's just the operator of the ship. Before 2012, it was owned by Carlombos Manoli. So I was wondering that all the documents say that it's owned by Carlombos Manoli. Why is this guy saying, or why are the Lebanese authorities saying that Igor Grishishkain is the real owner? Also, while researching, we found that Imad and George Haswani, they were all big clients in a bank called FBME. This bank was later on sanctioned also by the Americans for money laundering. Carlombos Manoli took a mysterious loan from FBME at the end of 2011. That's almost 1 year or 1.5 years before the shipment. This bank also, that made things more suspicious. It's not a normal bank. They don't give loans. They don't issue, for example, checks. So how did Carlombos Manoli reach them? And why did they decide, especially that they don't do this kind of business? You know, how did they that easily decide to give a guy $4 million? And how did this guy, after taking this $4 million, from the first payment, he defaulted?
Now, based on the technical reports provided by the experts in Lebanon and the Americans and the French experts, nothing proves that there was something intentional. So everything points out that the fire started accidentally. But since there was a hole in Pier 12 and the fire started and the blast occurred few months after the judge took a decision to close this hole, then this makes the judge skeptical about whether the fire was intentional or not, or is it just a coincidence that the blast occurred after the decision to close the hole?
The British authorities, we all know that they can't tell us who is the real owner of Savaro. They did nothing. Savaro had a bank account in a Swiss bank. Okay, so I don't know at that time what will happen, but the Switzerland authorities are also supposed to help, especially that now when you find an account for this company in a certain bank, then it will be more easier to know who opened this account, because we are talking about an account with almost $500,000, if not more, dollars. The Syrians, they did not cooperate. The Cypriot authorities, they did not cooperate. Russia refused to handle the people. The Lebanese authorities asked for them to come and testify. And the Russians are linked to this case in many ways.
أكثر من مرة طلعت فقط لأدعم القاضي صوان اللي ما بعرفه، بس بعرف إنه تجرأ يحكي أو يطالب بأسماء كبيرة للتحقيق. نحن كنا عم نطالب باستدعاء الأسماء الكبيرة، مش يبقوا ببعض الشباب. في أحد الموقفين صار له كان 3 أسابيع بيشتغل بالمرفأ، 3 أسابيع. وقفوا ناس بشكل يعني هلا ما بنعرف شو ما بنعرف، بس عامة إذا واحد بيطلع أكيد مش الصغار المسؤولين، الكبار المسؤولين. كل فاسد صغير في فاسد كبير مغطيه ليسترجع يعمل اللي بيعمله. كل واحد اليوم بيمارس بطريقة مخالفة للقانون مغطى من راس كبير سامح بذلك.
The next day, I remember around 4 a.m., it just got to me what happened, and I woke up surprised, and I wanted to come here to just see. Like, we left and we didn't see what happened. So at 5 a.m., I was here, and it was devastating. To arrive here, to see everything, all the stones and the blood, all the building destroyed, yeah, it was a big heartbreak. I've never felt that heartbreak before. I lived a bit of the war, but maybe I wasn't conscious about it. But this street was everything for me. It was my safe haven. To come and see it broken this way, yeah, it was heartbreaking.
And I think this devastation was so big and so destructive that it was above our thinking. Like, we could not think about that because it's so big. I had the reflex to take my cameras with me. Like, I put two lenses, like one wide, one long lens, but I did not use them. And even though till today I did not take one picture of what happened.
You know, you build, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of effort to keep the business going in Lebanon and to keep anything going in Lebanon. You know, it's a lot of work. And then when you see it destroyed and demolished, and you walk in and you see people, blood remains, and everything is broken, it's heartbreaking, and it's difficult to comprehend, to be honest. This is the first time I actually see the place. We kind of lost all the machines, all the furniture is gone. Oh well, it's all gone. And you think, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna rebuild, yeah? But for what? And for how long am I gonna stay taking punches and standing back up again?
Should we build again? Should we move again? Should life continue? Should we stop? Should we travel? Should we leave the country? Should we stay here? Should we take our families and go away? Migrate? I don't know.
After maybe 3 weeks, I wanted to create something around that. I said to myself, you have to create something around that. It's impossible that you, Roger, who document all things happened around me and far and close, I did not document one shot. So I decided to do to go to the field and assemble elements. You know, normal elements. I assemble anything I see and I take them as a beauty shot in my studio. I took objects from the rebel, I gathered them from all the places where there was a lot of destruction, and I took them with me to my studio and I shot them separately as I'm shooting a perfume bottle, you know, or a top model. And I gathered 200 elements, and I shot 200 elements for the 200 deaths. So it was an homage to the death, a beautiful homage to the death. There is nothing beautiful, but I turned it beautiful. Actually, I created a fiction story on each object.
J'avais une de mes sculptures qui était au milieu du salon, qui s'est envolée, qui a perdu une jambe. J'ai eu l'impression que aussi cette sculpture, elle avait concentré toute la violence sur elle. Elle avait pris de moi tout le dommage que moi j'aurais pu subir. Cette sculpture l'a prise à ma place.
If you see this flower, you can imagine 100 stories behind this flower. 100 stories behind this flower. If you see, for example, this book, you can read it today. This is a book who was on a shelf in a very beautiful house. And you have this old couple sitting on their sofa, reading each one a book and commenting. Where is my glasses? So I can put a title for this book. I can invent a whole life again.
I'm an architect initially. I studied architecture, but I work in photography. I worked in real estate photography, but at the same time I was documenting the city's architecture. And right after the explosion, I was actually in Ashrafiyya shooting while the explosion happened. So right after it, I think I felt that I needed to continue doing what I was doing, because in the first couple of weeks at least, we didn't know if any of these houses was gonna survive, if they were gonna collapse. Eventually we had 5 different houses collapse.
This used to be a typical Ashrafiyya neighborhood. After the blast, it got heavily destroyed and it took a big hit. And so 25 families are now displaced. So today we're walking around this neighborhood and we can see the rubble still on the floor.
I am part personally of the Lebanese diaspora. I live in London. We all mobilized to support Lebanon after the explosion, and also in a sustainable way. So we're looking at ways to help the country in a sustainable way going forward. But most of the funding is coming from the diaspora. From, I can name them, platforms like Impact Lebanon, Life Seal, Beirut Emergency Fund, our friends and family abroad, private donors. Around 400 or 500 buildings were damaged. These are all listed buildings, if you like, after the blast. And we have to preserve them. It's our identity, it's who we are, it's part of our culture. And so it's our responsibility to bring them back to life, to bring back the families to these buildings. Most of these buildings, they house families for decades and decades. And also to revive the livelihoods and the businesses that also trade at these, in these buildings.
We are in the Nakash house, which is a typical Beiruti house built around 1880. And on August 4, 6 p.m., when the blast at the port occurred, of course, this house was totally demolished and distressed. It was just refurbished. It has been refurbished for 2 months, and it was totally destroyed since.
We thought of doing something for Lebanon right after the blast, since we're all passionate about arts and culture, especially heritage as well. So we thought, what better could be, what else and what better could be than restoring the Sursuk Palace, which is the main icon of Beirut.
We are focusing mainly on collections, so artworks like paintings, molding, wood, stuccos, and you can see like all these cracks and paintings that are really damaged by the fumes and the dust that came from the blast. Those are really specific damages. And they need really expertise, special expertise, especially in paintings like from 16th, 17th, 18th century European paintings also, but also like the textile. So all this blast like damage all this collection in a whole. So it's not only just paintings, but also furniture, marbles. So we need a lot of expertise for that.
Definitely this blast, in a way, helped the people who wanted to get rid of those homes. However, there was a major reaction from the Lebanese people, and mainly the young generation, who really volunteered to help the people around these neighborhoods, because these neighborhoods have a character. It's the Lebanese character, as opposed to what was built in the center city of Beirut after the 1990s, when the center city was totally demolished after the war and rebuilt with practically no character. So people identify to these areas. This is the spirit of Beirut, this is the character of Beirut, and the reaction of the people helped, of course, the Directorate General of Antiquities to initiate the propping, sheltering, protection of these houses.
The community started coming in, and we were getting a lot of calls and messages, and the community really didn't want us to close and to give up. And they're like, when are you going to reopen? We want you to we can't, you know, we're here to support. And there was a lot of GoFundMe and a lot of foundations and support that was coming through. And I'm like, you know, I built this baby. It's kind of hard to really give up. At least let's give it that one more try. You know, let's give it that one more shot.
I was angry, really angry. I saw everything I've built destroyed. I saw people I love hurt. I saw their homes, people they love that they lost. A lot of kids that lost their parents. Yeah, I was angry. But in my character, I'm someone that tried to switch this anger in something constructive. So I stayed angry for a week, and then I said, if I keep angry, I'm gonna do them good for the people who did that. And I said, I need to find a way to transform this anger into a constructive way to just give power to what happened. I started building again. I refused for this neighborhood to remain as it was.
In December 2018, I met a woman who got evicted from her home because Lebanon offers no retirement pensions, unfortunately, to its retirees. So a lot of people have a lot of difficulties keeping their homes and fending for themselves at the autumn of their lives. I met this woman and she changed my life, because this is when I decided to open a charity organization that helps the retirees. But then between 2019 and 2021, we went on from 300 beneficiaries to 226,000 beneficiaries.
بلشنا اسمها دفا وورمز لأنه بلشت بعد أولاد خاصة نيوبورن خلق ومات بعد يومين لأنه جلد من البرد، فكانت الحملة هدفها إنه ندفي الناس. بلشنا هيترز، تياب، كنزات، حرمات، وبعد الانفجار صرنا عم نشتغل بترميم البيوت.
Those are like all donations from people who would come, like drop off brooms, bags, headgear, gloves, all of this. So they would drop them off, and we would like create teams and send them in different locations to clean up, to help houses, like remove the rubble. And everyone who didn't know what to do was coming to base camp to just like be directed and like where to go.
We are working in parallel. We are creating a parallel country, if I may say. We are providing the medical supplies, the food supplies, the work supplies for everybody in Lebanon, because the government and the politicians are not giving us anything, and we will not let our people alone. We are the alternative for them, and we are here to stand next to them.
The government is absent. The government is not even here. I don't even know what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing. We don't even know if they realized what happened. I mean, I don't think they even care, because as we speak now, hundreds of thousands of trucks and cars and six wheels are now taking all the food aid that came to Lebanon, and they're directing them to Syria. We're facing food shortage eventually. We're trying to find other ways to resolve this by planting. We have a lot of cold in a lot of areas because, you know, it snows a lot in Lebanon, so we don't have fuel anymore to heat these houses. All the fuel is now gone to Syria.
Imagine this, the whole security system in the country, the whole political overarching management of this country is after a guy who tweeted something while not worrying a bit about who did the explosion. Yeah, we get that. But I can't say we're too silenced. No, there are a lot of people that say it as is and didn't worry before. One of them is a dear friend that just got assassinated, Mr. Slim, and many others before. People do say the truth sometimes, now more so than before, but you always have to think that you might, you know, boom.
You have here, you can see the photo of the late Jobran Twaini, who was the CEO and editor-in-chief of An-Nahar. He was killed in 2005 by a blast, a car bomb, while he was coming down from his house in the mountain near Beirut to his office here, exactly here where we are standing.
One of the qualities probably of Swiss foreign policy is that we do, you know, whatever we have to say, we say. And if you speak to politicians, they would never disagree. You know, they would never tell me, no, Ambassador, we don't want reforms. They would say, of course we do want reforms, but it's just very complicated. And I mean, it is complicated. It is the most complex, I think, political system in the world. And we have to accept that and even empower them maybe to finally find, you know, a base for a solution. Because now, without reforms, I really don't see how Lebanon comes out of this very difficult situation.
The same people who caused the civil war are the same people who caused this explosion. They are still the same. It's the same bloody names. The same. I mean, I can tell you names from 1975, 1982, 1985, 1988, 1989. They are the people responsible for the blast of 2020. This is unbelievable. And they're still here, and there's still no accountability. This is not acceptable anymore.
The world should know that today there is a part of Lebanon that is fighting alone. We are fighting a corrupt system that has its regional allegiances, and there's no one to back us up.
And the fault is ours, unfortunately. We are a democratic country, and it is only the fault of the Lebanese people who voted. We voted. Nobody imposed this on us. We voted, unfortunately. So our salvation is going to come from the next elections. It's our only way out.
Definitely, the blast created a bigger anger in the Lebanese people. All the youth, all the generations are angry now because we don't know the truth. So the revolution will continue. Day after day, people will come back to the streets. We will fight these warlords. We are telling them, we are the alternative. We don't need you. We are here to stand next to our people. We just need you to leave, and we will let them leave. And the revolution will win at the end.
I promised her that she was going to be the Lebanese miracle of what happened. And we're trying to keep our word to her and, you know, to reach something. We want her death to be something constructive for the people of this city, for this country. Her death and the death of the 200 other victims of this blast.
This is what the bon jus. This was a juice. You know, when we were a kid, we used to drink it and then splash it, and it'd say, "Pa!" This is an arak cover. This was a bottle. A bottle was not. We did not drink this bottle because we kept it for our 20 years anniversary, but it blew away before.